Quick update before we get into the fantasy news. I made a bit of an error in the last episode of FN where I didn't make it clear enough that a lot of my hype around Brandon Sanderson possibly working with From Software was actually based on speculation and just me hoping they're working to adapt one of his works. What's far more likely, and I kind of offhandedly said, but it should have been the focus of the coverage, is that they're just bringing him in to consult for a future project, and it won't actually be an adaptation of his work. That was my fault, and I did not mean to clickbait you. So that was my bad. I let the excitement of a possibility that was unlikely get the better of me, and I did not make my coverage clear enough. I've made mistakes before. I am going to make them again. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the fantasy news. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Green, and today we actually have a little bit of Wheel of Time news. Yes, there's been a lot of little casting driplets and droplets here and there, a lot of speculation that I haven't wanted to cover, but this actually isn't about the show. And instead, it's a part of the franchise that's existed for decades. A PC game for the Wheel of Time is being re-released on goodoldgames.com for about $10. And that's kind of exciting for me because this has been a part of my fandom of the Wheel of Time for a long time. I remember going and ordering a copy of the game, like a CD. For those of you who are young, CDs are how we used to have to play games. We didn't just get to download them. It's a whole thing. But I ordered it with my mom's credit card when she didn't know, and I did not get it running. Started playing it a little bit, couldn't get past the first level, it kept crashing, and it was the greatest thing ever for a little Wheel of Time fan, Daniel. Fast forward, and a working, I assume, version of the game is being released, and don't worry, I have been able to play the game through with my audience on Twitch. Here's a clip.
If you have boobs, you are evil. 90s morality.
And I'm not gonna sit here and claim that this is like the greatest PC game of all time. It's a Wheel of Time first-person shooter. Yes, really? And it's just campy and fun. The story's kind of alright, and it's just more interesting to exist in the Wheel of Time world and fight Trollocs and Fades and Dark Friends, and it's just a good time. I recommend it if you are a die-hard Wheel of Time fan, or you just like old school games, and seeing how a fantasy epic can be turned into a Doom-style first-person shooter. Wheel of Time's legacy is strange. But that brings us to our next story, which is a much more serious piece of news, but it's still good news. And that is that American audiences are finally going to be getting the 41st volume of Berserk. It has already been released in Japan, but now it'll be appearing on shelves here in America November 9th. Now, I actually had to check on this because they said it was like a collection thing, so I assumed it was gonna be one of those deluxe editions you see behind my head, and I was like, oh my god, there's 41 of those? No, this is a standard volume, more like damn it, I lent out my Berserk volume. But this is a smaller volume that makes up those bigger boys. But the only real issue that I feel like I can take with this and I want to add to this conversation is we are seeing a lot of websites call this the last Berserk volume ever. That's not been confirmed. It will for sure be the last one written by the late Kentaro Miura, but the team around Berserk has not confirmed whether or not the series will be laid to rest alongside the original author, or if they will do something to try and continue it on. And a direct quote from this team is, "The editorial staff stated in September that there was no information to share about the future of Kentaro Miura's Berserk manga at this time. The statement added that the staff's priority will always be placed on him and what he would think if he were still with us." What I would like to add is I did look pretty hard to try and see if there has just been some information from a Japanese company that hasn't made it over here and I'm not seeing it about Berserk ending or not. So if you know and can provide a source, please comment it. I'll pin it right away so people can see, no, it's either ending or not. But as far as I can tell, there's been no official statement. And more personally to me, I so regret not getting into this franchise sooner because of the bad first impression I have and my own stubbornness to not listen to the fans. I'm just really happy I get to experience it now, and I'll be doing my next Berserk read-along next week. But flipping on into just overwhelming happy news, we had r/place have a bit of a war. ignite between fantasy fans and One Piece fans, where they started taking up the same area within the place. Now, if you don't know, it's kind of an area where fans can move around pixels to try and make art, and there's these massive collages, and One Piece started with theirs, and a Cosmere Brandon Sanderson team were going right beneath it, and what seemed to be a clash resulted in a union. And our final art piece we saw was this beauty right here. Why did that make me emotional? I've come to love One Piece a lot, and these are, you know, so many other franchises in this little circle that I love, and so seeing like fans of both come together to like make this thing is just, it affected me. I don't know what to tell you. Quickly, before we get into the hardcore fantasy news, I want to do a little bit of self-promo here. Don't worry, no sponsor today, but I am doing a second channel with my good buddy Noah from college, where we're going through the AFI's top 100 list and kind of just giving our review of what the American Film Institute thinks are the 100 greatest American films of all time. It's been a blast, and here's a clip.
You can drown in like 2 tablespoons of water.
No, but you can blow away to what? That is the what?
Fuck off. I'm looking it up.
Please stand by.
How much water do you need to drown?
If you're interested, links of course down below. But we had a cover reveal for the next Neil Shusterman book, and it looks like this, and it is titled Gleanings. I thought Scythe was good. I didn't love it, but I certainly understand why it's earned the success that it's had, and this is just kind of exciting for Neil Shusterman fans. I really like his last name, Shusterman. And the book will be released November 4+4. 8th. And golly, do you just read fantasy books or play fantasy games and wish you could eat what the characters are eating? It's a very specific question, but if you're a Witcher fan who happens to have that exact want, you should rejoice at the fact that we are going to be getting a Witcher cookbook that'll be released October 25th of 2022. I get it. That's all I have to add here. I get it. I can't even show you a cover though, because it hasn't been revealed, so here's my impression of what I hope the cover is. I mixed the ingredients! Can I still drink that? Now, switching to a story I had a gut immediate negative reaction to, but the more I've thought about it, the more positive I am. Apparently, a live-action Spirited Away play is going to stream on Hulu this summer. Now, I immediately went, oh my god, the beauty of Spirited Away comes in the animation. What are you even trying to do? This is crazy. A play? It sounds like the Spider-Man play. That was like one of the biggest catastrophes Broadway's ever seen. Like, there's no... Actually, wait, because I went and found some reviews of the play and also saw some shots of the set design and what they really brought to the table to capture the beauty of the movie Spirited Away. And what I have to say is, it looks pretty cool, and I really appreciate set design and how much time and work and effort can go into bringing something incredible to actually be on the stage in front of you. And by God, does Spirited Away offer a lot of opportunities for set designers to just kind of go nuts and create something truly wacky and wild. And the same beauty and awe that animation from Studio Ghibli often brings, not the exact same, but something similar could be accomplished on stage. And so I was just being an ass and assuming the negative, which I don't want to be. And I really hope this turns out to be something awesome. And the performance that's captured for Hulu is something that we can all love and enjoy and is of quality. But I just don't want to be that guy who's right out the gate like, and instead I want to go, you know what? Maybe something really awesome is going to be brought to live action here. And I'd rather it be a play than a live action movie. That I'm sure about. Now, Netflix has announced that Locke and Key is officially going to be ending on their streaming platform after the 3rd season, keeping well in line with Netflix's policy of ending shows after just a couple seasons because it's not profitable for them to keep them going unless they're one of their really big ones season after season after season after season. So Stranger Things, yeah, that'll keep being cranked out because people are loving it on the phenomena level, and Witcher's a big enough investment that I think they'll take it past season 3. But Locke and Key, unfortunately, falls into the much broader net.
Well, look what a cat dragged in.
But this kind of put a question in my head, and I wanted to ask you, the audience, so I put a poll out on my channel. Do you hate this policy from Netflix, or do you not mind it? And the results were far harsher than I thought it would be. Unlike the last poll I conducted here on the channel where my audience seemed to be more forgiving, it seems this is something a lot of people do not like. They want shows to be able to go 4, 5, 6 seasons, and 2 or 3 isn't enough. Personally, I'm not quite as harsh. I mean, most shows don't get a season 2, so the fact that Netflix is providing some that in other hands maybe won't get past a season 1, a 2, or even 3, I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, that's actually more than I would expect for some of these. But I also understand if you're a big fan of especially something being adapted that absolutely requires more than 2 or 3 seasons, it can be kind of just a knife to the gut. I don't trust it. I don't want it. I don't want Netflix touching my franchise. What I would love to know in terms of like insider knowledge at Netflix is, do they actually plan this from the beginning and they tell the showrunners like, don't tell the fans, but this is going to be done at 3? Or do they test the waters to see if it could be drawn out to a Stranger Things? Or in the long run, are we going to see them switch to a more limited series approach and try and tackle projects like Chernobyl or more Midnight Masses, which are just a one and done, and that way they can kind of fall into the strategy they have now without setting the expectation there's going to be multiple seasons. It's all them trying to have definite options open so they can take different strategies, but it leaves me as a fan feeling very unsure of what the future of these shows is going to look like after a season 1 is announced and done. But of course, I'd love to see the conversation carried on in the comments down below to maybe sway me. Maybe I will hate it violently after reading some other takes. And if you would like to take part in a wonderful, beautiful charity project that's going on here on BookTube, check out the Library of Alexandria's channel, where on April 10th, they're going to be raising money for refugees from Ukraine, which is just fantastic. Link, of course, right down there. And in news that made me go,
why, Hollywood? Why do you do the things that you do? Why are you the way that you are? Do you have no
news? Chris Pratt has apparently been tapped to voice Garfield in an upcoming Garfield project. At least Bill Murray, you could be like, yeah, he's got the lackadaisical, non-caring attitude that fits Garfield. I had to check this like 3 times to make sure it was real. I even went on Chris Pratt's IMDb and saw it and was like, what? Is there some angle to his masterclass back catalog of performances I'm missing? Or is this Hollywood just going, he's popular, so he should be our cat, make him our cat. I don't know why I did that, that was weird. But this just, like, there's not even like the attempt at trying to say it's good casting. It's just 1000% Chris Pratt, name big, so let's make him Mario. And there's gonna be people who try to make this about like something else, like, oh, Daniel, you just hate Chris Pratt, or I hate No, because he's going to be voicing the cat, right? It's gonna be a CGI whatever. And the art of voice acting is an art form. It's really hard to do. And just because you are an actor does not mean you're immediately a great voice actor. And we've seen through stories that we've recently covered here on the channel that voice actors are often not given the respect they deserve, and big roles for a possible big IP like Garfield are not handed to professional voice actors, and often are instead just handed to big name actors. And I just don't like that trend. I'm definitely overreacting. It's not that big a deal, but I don't like it, and it makes me mad. Damn it! I want to end on something positive today, and I've got that right here in my pocket. And that is going to be that apparently the Hubble telescope has spotted and nicknamed the most distant star ever recorded. Well, this will probably be rapidly shattered by the James Webb telescope once that's up and fully functioning, but man, Hubble, you're still providing some great little moments. This 12.9 billion light-year away star is certainly impressive, especially if you look into how exactly they found it, but this is not science news, it's fantasy news. So Daniel, why are you even mentioning this? Well, it's the nickname they gave that star. Arendelle, obviously named after Tolkien's work, and it made me happy. So happy. But I have a mission for you, goblins. We must continue this trend. I call upon all of you under the age of 20 to abandon whatever career goals you have and instead infiltrate STEM. What you need to do is flood every possible field of STEM science. Make as many discoveries as you can. Murder your coworkers if they make a discovery. Just take it and claim it as your own. And start naming stuff after various fantasy authors. I want Joe Abercrombie named stars. I want a beetle named after Evan Winter. I want Fonda Lee to get a plant. These are all things we can make possible if we just slide our way in and take on over the fields of STEM. Robin Hobb? Give her a new type of boat, engineers. I want it there. Red Rising, if we don't get a spaceship named Darrow, I'll burn the world down. These are accomplishable goals. I just need you to abandon your current life path and instead get into STEM. Is it that hard? A galaxy named Malazan. Who doesn't want it? A revolutionary piece of software called Neuromancer. Incredible! The Paulini star cluster! The Adrian Tavkosky species of aliens! Oh my god, the snow crash train. Do it! That's all the fantasy news today. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Check out the secondary movie discussion channel with my good buddy Noah. Join the Discord server and post stories in the fantasy news channel if you'd like to see them covered here next week. And have a good one, y'all. Books, merch, peace!